Hello everyone, it's Ruby here, and today I wanted to discuss kind of this topic of sort of the small indie games or like the wholesome good games becoming essentially sellouts, getting too greedy, making changes that are effectively unhealthy for their community. I mean, sometimes it's not even the indie devs, it's the people that acquire them, because for an indie dev, it's very difficult to maintain their game, so they end up selling to a licensed publisher, or they end up working with a publisher that goes against their very ideas for the games. I've seen this happen a lot. The prime example would be Town of Salem and BitLife and honestly a lot of other games that started out as a cool concept and then devs or somebody got greedy or reduced the quality of their product and it just turned to shit. I can say this about pretty much every old mobile game, like Angry Birds, like I don't know, Cut the Rope. Pretty much every mobile game that used to be good is now hot garbage. They're either littered with ads or they have tons of microtransactions or even pay to win microtransactions that completely defeat the purpose of the game. Today I'm going to be focusing more so on Town of Salem, but this kind of applies to every game that I just mentioned. Now, for those of you that don't know, Town of Salem started out as a very simple social deduction game. It's basically Mafia. It's kind of the best version of Mafia because the roles are very extensive. You're assigned a role, you're supposed to do it, and your goal is to win with whatever alignment that you are. Pretty self-explanatory. It is the most detailed version of Mafia that there is. The problem comes when you add other factors to it. So it starts out as a game where there's like mafia and there's town investigators. Everybody essentially has a role to play. No one is just a basic role, really. A medium can talk to the dead people, get kind of information about them. A investigator can choose someone to investigate. A godfather can order a kill. Like, there's so many moving parts, and it's not just one person that is mafia. It is like usually a team of people, and there might be a witch, and there might be an arso, and there might be a serial killer. Like, there's different aspects to the game, and there's always something new to find, especially in chaos mode, which is basically, instead of having a role list, anyone can be anything, although usually those lists are still predetermined in order to balance the game. Recently, the same devs, new publisher, came out with a game called Town of Salem 2. Town of Salem 2 was to basically overhaul the game and make it, number one, more immersive with the roles. So instead of Mafia, it's Coven, because it's the Salem witch trials. Essentially, you're trying to find the witch. You're trying to find the Coven, the Salem, and then there's a lot of roles that are newly introduced, and there's a lot of concepts that were newly introduced. But with that comes a lot of glaring issues with the game, and the biggest one is the monetization system. So there used to be just cosmetics, pretty much just cosmetics. You could get scrolls, but really those things were really to just make it a better chance for you to get an alignment or role that you wanted. It didn't make it unfair. It didn't make it obvious, like if you buy like 20 scrolls for like Mafia, that you're always gonna get Mafia. And oftentimes, that was okay. But recently in the game, there's been this thing called the Permanent Tome of Rolls or something. I don't know what it's actually called, but essentially what it does is when you buy it for a one-time price, you are almost guaranteed, well, not guaranteed, you are more likely forever to be the roles that you choose to be. Meaning, if I have 50 SK scrolls, okay, and I buy this tournament and I apply them, then I am now, like 75% of the time, going to be that role. Now, the problem with this is it creates an imbalance. Number one, it's a completely online game. There is no offline mode. There is no mode where you are just playing by yourself. It is fully online, which means, let's say 2 people have scrolls. One of them has the Book of Atonement, or whatever it is, the permanent thing. And one of them has a natural scroll, something that they earned maybe while playing the game, something that they might have acquired in the shop, spent their town points on, whatever. The person that is going to get priority over the role is going to be the person who paid for the permanent book. And also, likely, the person who paid the most money. The problem with this is that Town of Salem is supposed to be a completely random game, meaning you have no idea who could be what. It changes every time. You know, someone could be town, someone could be mafia, someone could be, something else. The problem with introducing such payment methods and such systems is that it defeats the purpose of the social deduction. And now becomes, oh, I know that person. I know that they usually have SK scrolls. Let me prosecute them. Let me do this. And they might be wrong. Okay? There's a chance that they're wrong. But they're going off of meta information. And they're using that because they know that there's a likely chance that this person is a witch, is an SK, because they always use these scrolls. So it defeats the purpose of the actual social deduction game because it turns into which scrolls does this person prefer? Bad or good? Like, if you know that someone is desperately hunting for mayoral, like, you know that they have like 50, 100 mayor scrolls, then you're going to assume when they load in, they're probably going to be a mayor. Let me kill them. Let me execute them. Let me pick them as my target or something. Like, it takes away the nature of the game. And because that there is now such a low player base, because many people have left the game because they're not happy with all these monetization changes, what ends up happening is that there is only really one active lobby at a time. It is impossible to really play any other mode because, well, nobody really wants to play those modes because, well, nobody is there. No one's in Classic, so it's possible for new players to get into the game, and no new player can get fun roles because all the paying people are getting them instead. It now incentivizes you to pay money, and you no longer have fun when you don't. So you see everybody having fun, and you ask them how they're doing that, and they tell you that they're using scrolls, or they're using this, or they're using that, and now you're interested in buying too because you think it'll make your experience better, and suddenly everyone is pouring their money into Town of Salem. Which, again, defeats the purpose of the actual game, which is supposed to be a social deduction game. Now, the other hand that has nothing to do with Town of Salem is the fact that there are a lot of games that start out as wholesome indie projects that get completely destroyed when they get acquired. Completely. For example, BitLife. I played it a couple times. I used to play it regularly, actually. I used to have like all of the things. And they had made a promise that there would be basically one of their updates would be the last time that they did something for money. Which, I mean, you should never really promise because you probably don't have that much control over your game if you're owned by a publisher or, want to keep ahead. But I think what often ends up happening is that these people, they make a one-time subscription tier, so people only pay one time and they get that money from it. And then they realize, wait, I need more money because no one's watching ads because they paid for the one-time fee of not watching ads. And so now I need to make money because I've ran out of it. No one, there is no bigger player base. Everyone, bought it and now that's it. I'm not making any more money. No one's watching ads. So my solution is to implement more paid content. Now, if this was something where they're like, okay, first of all, we're going to make the ad thing subscription based, not permanent, and we're going to grandfather in the people that already paid for the one-time purchase. That would make sense. Right? People who bought it first gets the permanent ad-free viewing, and those going forward get a subscription. Okay. And maybe they get some extra content on top of that. And you keep giving content to those who bought into those programs. The problem is that what BitLife did instead was they basically, essentially, locked all their updates behind a paywall. Meaning that if you wanted to play the new cool, like, I don't know, actor or like be anything that's like have anything to do with the new updates, you would have to pay for the expansion pack that it belongs to. For example, astronaut. You wanted to be an astronaut? Cool. Pay $4.99 for it. Oh, you wanted to be an actor? Well, pay $4.99 for it. Zookeeper? $4.99. And now it becomes a game of, oh, so I have to actually pay money to be the thing that I even want to be. And it's no longer a life simulation game. Now it's just a money game. Like, there's nothing truly added to it, and there's no way to play it for free. You would think at that point you just make it a paid game when you download it. And it's crazy how people don't even really think about what they're actually buying. There's a lot of creators, a lot of people that want to make content for their channel, and therefore when they get stuck in a niche that works, they're willing to go die on a hill for it. Now, I'll give credit where credit's due. Many creators often still speak up about the problem, but then it becomes a situation where you really like this game, but the devs are not making good decisions, and you're not really sure what to do, because you still like the game. It's not that you don't like the game. It's more so that you don't like the decisions that are being implemented in the game that you love. And this happens so often that it's kind of impossible to just abandon a game. Because, yeah, you like it, but now someone's coming to ruin it. And it's more so a game of how long will it take for you to realize that the game's over. It's no longer going to be fun. The nature of the game is gone. And the thing that made it special is no longer to be seen. It's difficult because you want to think that the game that you love is always going to be the game that you love. Like, many people become attached to their games. Take it, the Sims community. Most people are loyal to the Sims. But in order to invest in the Sims, you need to pay over $1,000 to get all of the content and then some. And even then, there's still flaws and bugs in the packs. And there's many critiques of them being empty and soulless and not being fun to play. But people still buy them because they need it to enhance their experience. And that's the problem with games in general, is that people need to buy the things that they love and invest in the things that they love. And they don't really know how to say no, because this is a really special game. And if I don't pay for it, then I'm not going to make any more content on it. But at the same time, when I pay for it, I'm saying that I approve of this content. And people are like, okay, well, I'm just going to say that I don't like it, but I'm going to buy it anyways. And the problem with that is no dev cares. No dev cares about whether you like it or don't like it. They care about whether you buy it or not. Okay? When you buy something, you're saying, I approve of this content. I like this. When you refund it, when you return it, then you're like, okay, I don't like it at all. But when you buy it and you keep it and you keep investing in it, that's how these companies get away with doing these things. Now, it's not easy to boycott a company that you love because you don't want to. You want to have good faith in their company. For example, I'm a big Elder Scrolls fan. I love Elder Scrolls. I understand that Bethesda Game Studios has not been performing to the expectations that they are supposed to. But I don't want to abandon them because I love their games that they make. I love Skyrim. I love Oblivion. I hoped that Starfield would be the same. And while Starfield was fun, it definitely lacked what a lot of Elder Scrolls and Fallout games had. And I think the biggest thing is that what makes Skyrim special is not so much the game itself. Yes, it's fun, it has the bare bones of it, but what makes it special is the modding community. And with the thousands of mods that you can get, it makes Skyrim a lot better in many different ways. But since many people who played Skyrim have left the game and have no interest in kind of returning it, it leaves the community with no mod authors willing to make content for the game. And when you have something that is so bare bones, people just don't want to play it, even with mods, even with that community. And people don't want to make mods because, well, number one, there's no creator kit for this game. And number two, why make something when nobody's playing? The Skyrim had a player base, at least. That's why mods were so popular, is that it had a huge player base. Everyone was so invested, everyone was digging it. It had a whole community, it had a whole Twitch community, it had a whole Steam community. Like, everyone was invested in Skyrim. But it died because Bethesda was too late to add new content. Fallout 4 was alright. It did its job, for sure. Fallout 76 was a disaster. Elder Scrolls Online was a disaster on release. It got better, but it was a disaster, remember? And now Starfield was pretty much a disaster too. And now the big hype around Elder Scrolls 6 is the hope that it is going to be amazing. It is going to be the best game there ever was. Except when it releases, I guarantee you people are going to be disappointed. Now, I don't know what Elder Scrolls is going to be like. I hope that it's good. I hope, dear God, that they treat it right, that it is something to be proud of, that we can say, hey, we waited for Elder Scrolls 6 for 10, 20 years, and it's amazing. It meets all expectations. But the reality is that it might not. And that's a very scary thing to realize, is that when the studio that you grew up loving, the people that you enjoyed playing, the games that you once loved, is gone. You can't get them back because they were absorbed by a company that, or there's a new leadership that just doesn't care the same way that they did. Or the people that were involved don't care anymore. And when you have a game, for example, especially a mobile game that you used to love, that you then download and it was like, hey, let me check this out, and it's completely different, and there's all these like different things that takes away its uniqueness and kind of ruins the game a little bit, then it becomes a disappointment, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe I ever liked this game. I feel like that there are so many instances where a publisher, dev, or someone has just disappointed the fans because they forgot what brought them there in the first place, right? Now, I think there are devs and publishers that have handled fandoms well, but at the same time, you almost think it's kind of a matter of time, right? Are we sure that Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to be worth the money that they're charging for? What if it's not? What if they add in so many like paid content as the trend is going? I mean, sure, people will buy it, of course, but I'm sure many people would be disappointed if it ended up having such content. The same with Mortal Kombat. Yes, people love the new games, but at the same time, it feels like it just isn't the same anymore. They've changed the character designs, they've forgotten a bunch of characters, they become a who's that Pokemon MK combat character DLC going to be, instead of what truly made it special, which is that it was a really great fighting game with a really great story. Like, I feel like the game of Mortal Kombat has turned into who's the combat character going to be in the combo pack. Like, who is it going to be? Is it going to be Predator? Is it going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger? Is it going to be like, it's no longer about the game that it was. Like, yeah, it was cool to have like DLC characters and everything, but the heart of it is the actual game itself. How long do we have to wait for there to be acknowledgement of what made the game special? I think it's wise that Baldur's Gate 3 is not going to be updated anymore. And to that degree, no expansions, no sequel, no nothing. Because the last thing that we want to do is see Baldur's Gate 3 turn into what many games have become in the past. I'm hoping that the new Mass Effect game is going to be great. I really am. I have a lot of faith in it. But I fear that there's a chance that EA gets involved and ruins it. EA is the one who inserted microtransactions in Star Wars Battlefront 2, which was actually a pretty fun game up until they made it paid to win. So many publishers, I feel like, more so than devs, ruin games that we love. So many of them. And so many indie devs sell out, where they lose what was once special and they become just like the AAA studio games, where they get acquired and they have to make changes and The people that acquire them don't understand what truly made the game so lovable. And these games end up dying and nobody wants to come back, even if they change it, because what made them special is no longer there. I just don't know what we can do to make that really change and to make that really stick. I feel like, unfortunately, we've left that behind in the past, and there's no going back. You just have to deal with the consequences that have to follow, and that is the games are just not as great as they used to be. Remember when you could buy a game for like $16 and it would be the full game, and you didn't have to pay anything else? Or maybe you could pay something, but it was a DLC expansion pack, so it actually added to the game and didn't just gloss over, or they add like a cosmetic. Remember when you could actually buy a game and get all of the content without worrying about where the hell you bought it, or what platform you bought it on, or whether you pre-ordered it or not, or like there's so many pre-order collectors yada yada like expansions and everything. I hate to break it to people, but not every game needs a fucking deluxe edition, okay? It's only deluxe if it actually adds stuff to the game, not the cosmetics, the dresses, the outfits. Like, so many games are tied behind pre-order and exclusive content. Like, see, people are like, oh, where are the Xbox exclusives? Like, I don't want exclusives. I hate exclusives because I always have to pay attention. Okay, which one has the better deal? Oh, Sony does, but I actually want to play it on Xbox or PC. Like, it's just annoying. Like, I feel like most people are just going to play it on the platform that they want to, but they might miss on content that was exclusive to PlayStation or exclusive to Xbox or exclusive to Wii or whatever. Like, I just feel like there's a lot of just almost gamifying the purchase process. Like, instead of just buying it flat out and everybody just getting the same thing, people buy expansions, people buy packs and stuff that change the experience of the overall game. Like, if you talk to the people that truly love the Sims games, it's people who have all 50 of the expansion packs or whatever. It's people who invested thousands of dollars into every single expansion and DLC. And so you see that the game is free. But when you look deep inside of it, it's not even close to being free. You look at The Sims 4. We look at The Sims 4 right now. Okay? It's free to play, right? Base game. Base game is free to play. If we look at what it takes to get every single expansion, we can hit Browse All, and we can go and see how much it is. And lo and behold, it is definitely not free. Oh my god. Oh dear God. You can't even get to the bottom of it. And this is just one game of The Sims. One game. It's not like it's everything. It's one game. Now, sometimes you can get bundles that are actually well priced because it actually is reasonable and actually is a proper discount. And sometimes you can't. And sometimes you can't. Yeah. If you guys want me to read you the Sims 4 price to buy everything, $1,284.19. That's right, $1,284.19. Holy hell. And that's not the only game that takes a lot to invest in. There's so many games where that is basically the normal. If you break down every Madden expansion and whatever, and like, it kind of is everything. And that's kind of sad. It's turned a game that used to be full of fun and joy into a pay for content. Pay thousands of dollars for content. Thousands of content for like thousands of dollars for content that at the end of the day is kind of bare bones. It's not the same as it used to be. It's not as loved as it used to be. Now, you know, I feel like that it gets even worse the farther you go. But hey, what do I know? Anyways, I want to see your opinions. Comment down below. What's a game that you used to love that was kind of ruined because the devs or the publishers sold out? They either got acquired, or they got greedy, or they just weren't the same. Let me know down in the comments. I'm curious. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.